There have been times where America's shown arrogance and been dismissive, even derisive.
My name is Henson Ong. Forgive me, English is not my first language. I am a legal immigrant, and I am an American by choice.
Trying to reduce the number of these guns and the ammunition that feeds them in our society. First of all, do you think that's possible? And would you support legislation? Would you, I don't know, go around the country and actually be very vocal about this?
I think serious action is necessary.
Thank you for giving me this opportunity to express my opinion and give my testimony in opposition to the majority of the proposed bills which do nothing to deter future crimes.
Why would we want to continue to have an environment that we do here in this country, not so much in California, but in the country, where 40% of the guns that are purchased don't have criminal background checks?
Badges. You could buy rifles at the hardware stores. You could order them, mail order, delivered to your home. Your country was awash in readily available firearms and ammunition. And yet, in your past, you did not have mass school shootings. Other people have already expressed the question, what changed?
The problem we have in this country, not just that we're flooding guns in the marketplace, we also have, frankly, a culture that is in love with guns.
It was not that the availability of guns suddenly exploded or increased. It actually was decreased. What was changed was societal decay.
Here's what gun control does. It works. When you do gun control, you have less gun-related deaths. You have less deaths. It's obvious. It's true in Japan, it's true in the UK, it's true in dozens of countries, and it's also a great example in Australia.
If gun control actually did work, Washington, D.C. and Chicago would be the safest cities in your nation, but it is not. They have the toughest gun laws and the highest crime and murder rates.
Why do people civilians need an AR-15 type assault rifle?
Why do you already said statistically they're used in a very low amount of the crimes. That's an FBI fact.
They've been used in the last 3 mass shootings.
Yes,
why
I'll tell you why.
Had the Koreans in the LA riots not had AR-15s and AK-47s with 30-round magazines and Ruger 30s, their businesses would have been burned to the ground like all of the other businesses in their neighborhoods. Theirs stood because they stood their ground.
The Ultimate Looters Defense. We are on Olympic Boulevard in Koreatown at the Olympic Discount Store. There are 28 men, armed men, everyone with guns, on duty 24 hours a day, they tell me, protecting this store. For a company that had been hired, they told me no, that they were just friends and employees.
That looks to be an Uzi that man is...
Well, it looks on the roof, it looks to us that the man on the roof has some kind of automatic weapon, but...
The response the other day to Stan McChrystal, one of our greatest warriors, a man who spent his entire lifetime in the military shooting assault weapons, and he said they do not belong in a civil society. Well, the response to that was, I have to keep my weapon because the government's going to come and try to take it away from me, and I have to be able to fight back when that happens. Well, that's the most far-reaching thing you can possibly imagine.
I would also put forward the conjecture that had the 10,000 students at Tiananmen Square not been unarmed, things may not have resulted in so many of them disappearing.
And you've got to make a stand somewhere, and you have to start somewhere. And the logical place to start, given that automatic weapons are banned, is you go to the next level down, semi-automatic weapons. And, you know, in an ideal world, I'd have all guns gone, as we have in Britain.
In your own laws, United States versus Miller, 309, U.S. 174, 1939, it was made clear that the type of firearms protected by the Second Amendment were those specifically useful and common for military use in defense of the state.
Joining me now is Tennessee State Representative Joe Carr, who introduced a bill making it illegal to enforce any potential ban on assault weapons. He said, and I'm quoting, "It's our attempt to push back on the federal government's ever-increasing encroachment, not only on our personal liberties, but on our state sovereignty." Representative Carr, first of all, thank you for joining me tonight.
Well, Reverend Sharpton, I'm glad to be here.
Now, let me ask you, do you really think your state bill will trump federal law?
I would like to note that the state is not the government. The state is the people.
Weapons designed originally for the military to kill large numbers of people in close combat are replicated for civilian use.
Mr. Hines, if you would.
In Lewis versus United States, 1980, it is stated that the Second Amendment guarantees no right to keep and bear a firearm that does not have some reasonable relationship to the preservation and efficiency of a well-regulated militia. It has nothing to do with hunting. The militia, as per the debates in the convention, shows plainly enough that it is composed of all males physically capable of acting in concert for common defense. And further, that ordinarily, when called for service, these men were expected to appear bearing arms supplied by themselves and of a kind in common use at the time. The AR-15 is the most common and popular rifle in America at this time.
Would you please wrap up?
I will wrap up. I would like to wrap up with a statement from Judge Andrew Kozinski in Silveria vs. Lockyer, 2003. My excellent colleagues have forgotten these bitter lessons of history. The prospect of tyranny may not grab the headlines the way vivid stories of gun crime usually do, but few saw the Third Reich coming until it was too late. The Second Amendment is a doomsday provision, one designed only for those exceptionally rare circumstances when all other rights have failed. A free people can only afford to make this mistake once.
Thank you.